This is an extract from the Leader Coronavirus Daily podcast by the Evening Standard and hosted by me, David Marsland. To hear the whole thing, search for it on your podcast provider. The sound of a school bell still gets you, doesn't it? Bet you're sitting up straight now. Of course, the bells, if they're ringing at all, have been banging forlornly through empty corridors for weeks now. Some of you may have been taking over as teachers, and I hope that's been going well. But if the offices are opening up, what about the classrooms? There's been no official word from the government, but it's thought plans are being drawn up to let some pupils back in from next month. So the real school teachers might not have long to get things up and running. And I'm joined by one now. Charles Fillingham is a head teacher at Francis Holland School in Regent's Park. And Charles, there must be a massive amount of work involved in doing this.
There is. So the things we're thinking about are cleaning, how we're going to keep each classroom clean before the sort of set of children come in. Will we have antibacterial wipes in the room so they can wipe the tables down, hand washing, children arriving at different times, and staff being allowed to arrive at different times. So we probably won't have registration. So that the teachers can come in just for the lessons when they need to come in, so they're not on the tube at its busiest time, that sort of thing.
It must be difficult when you don't have an exact date to work towards.
I'm guessing that the government has in mind the first day back after half term. There's been a lot of talk about having 3 weeks notice. I've kind of been figuring that would make sense anyway. So that is what I have been planning towards with my team, and I will wait until either Thursday or Sunday to see what actually comes out of it.
How many pupils do you have at your school, and where are they coming in from?
So we have 500 pupils. They come in from a broad sweep across north, northwest and west London, and they come in mainly on the tube. Some of them live close enough to walk, and I think one of the things that people might be concerned about, their parents perhaps, is getting them safely to school, whether perhaps there might be more parents dropping them off.
Are you expecting all those pupils who are supposed to come back to actually come back then? Do you think some may be held back for a couple of extra days?
Yeah, and I do wonder whether some of the parents will be concerned about their children coming straight back into school, having stayed in such tight communities for 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, whatever it might be, then to suddenly go into a massive community again. There has been quite a job done of making us wary of going out. You only have to walk down the street, don't you, and see someone cross the other side of the street. The social distancing in schools is not really achievable, certainly not in the sense of being 2 meters apart. That's not how schools work.
And what can you say to your own teachers, to yourself actually, about returning? Is there any trepidation there?
Well, I think some more of the teachers than usual might cycle in. I think some more might walk in if they're able to. And I was saying, we'll try to allow them to come in at different times so they can avoid the busiest time on the tubes. And when they finish teaching for the day, to go straight home rather than waiting again until the rush hour in the evening. Also thinking about how we can spread out the staff room. And the teachers have got about 80 centimetres at the moment. And then there's another teacher and another teacher. So we'll need to make sure that we offer them somewhere else where they can go and work if they don't want to be cheek by jowl.
And this has been such an extraordinary time, particularly actually for those parents who have had to take on the role of teacher as well. I'd expect there'll be some who are glad to send their children back to class again, won't there be?
Yeah, I think there certainly will. The children have really enjoyed having interactivity. And so where we've been able to do the live video lessons or live streamed lessons, I think that's been a real benefit. Not every class has been able to be done like that, and not every school can manage it. But that's been what I think has been the turning round point. When initially we were just setting work, I think it was not as motivating, not as stimulating, easy for the children to lose sense of what time of day to get up and what time to get going. So we start with assembly in the morning, we have lessons through the day, there's lunch break, there's activities suggested that you can do in lunch or sporting things in your back garden, and until the end of the day.
And are you worried that some children may have lost their place, or some of your pupils may have lost their place in teaching, that there's going to be a lot of work to catch up with?
So I would probably say that the colleagues are working jolly hard to make sure that's not the case. Is there going to be a certain amount of catching up and levelling out? Yeah, probably is. But I think teachers are inspirational. They work so hard and they are trying really hard to keep up with things. They're a diligent bunch. As a profession, they're really very hardworking indeed.
Search for the Leader Coronavirus Daily on any podcast provider to hear more from the podcast.